Okay, today we're going to learn how to do a ocean picture with shark silhouettes. So we're going to imagine that we are underwater looking up towards the top of the water. And so this center part has to be light because that's where the sun is shining down. And as we go out from our circle, we want it to get darker and darker. So we're going to use blue to make it darker and darker. Now, if you only have one blue, you are going to need to add a tiny bit of black to your blue as we go. So the first thing that we're going to do is draw with the paintbrush, because I'm using watercolor and it will be easier if you do that. You want to have blue, but you want it to be very light. And we're going to draw a circle that's very light. Now, this is going to be too dark for the center, so we want to rinse our brush off so there's no more color on it, just water. And then we want to just slowly, no color, make the circle and cover the paper. So just a tiny bit of blue. And then as we go out, we want the color to get darker. So we get more paint as we go away from the center circle. More paint. And then we want it to be even darker as we go out. Now, I have two different kinds of blue, but you can add black a little tiny bit or purple to your blue, and it will make it a little bit darker. So if you add a little bit of purple, see how it gets a little bit darker there as we go out. Because as we go to the edge of the paper, we want it to keep getting darker. And you're just going to make rings around the outside like that. Oh, and then you're going to do that. You're going to keep doing this until you get all the way to the edge of your paper. And I'm going to make it darker even still there. And it just keeps getting darker. And I'm going to add a little bit of black to my... Ooh, that was too much. See how it gets even darker with a little bit of black in there? Okay. Now, see how it bled into the middle? That's okay because it looks like the sun is shining through there. Now I'm going to take my dark color on the other side. Now you don't really want it totally black. You still want it kind of blue over there. So put some more blue in there. Now, I want to make my rings a little bit, see how this line is real dark there? The way you fix that is you just take water and you blend it out. But you want to keep a circle going, so you don't want to blend out everything totally. Okay, and I want some more of that bright blue right here in the middle. There. All right, now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle some salt on this, and you'll see what happens when it's wet. You just let it sit there. And then what we're going to do, you have to wait for it to dry before we do the next step. Because the next step, we're going to put in the silhouettes. But if your paper is wet, then they'll just bleed out and they won't keep their lines. They will disappear and get fuzzy, like, and then you won't have sharp edges. Okay, so once you're happy with that, you're gonna let it dry. And then what we're going to do is we are going to draw the outlines of the sharks. Now I used one of these on mine. So I drew the sharks on the paper with a black marker, and then I painted in with black paint. That way you can make sure that you have the shape that you want when you are ready to paint that. So now that this is dry, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to draw. Now what we want is we want our sharks to kind of be swimming in a circle. So we need to make sure that we have, I'm going to dab the middle bit, them kind of curving around. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow the lines of the curve, and we're going to draw. We'll start with the nose of the shark, and I'm just going to go like this, kind of like, and then one fin comes out like that, and then the other, but then his body turns and they have a little tail at the end, and then his tail goes this way, and that goes and connects to there. So there's one shark outline. And then if it's easier for you to draw like this, then you want to turn your paper as you draw the other sharks. Now they can be swimming tail to tail, or you can do it so that their heads are kind of pointing in a different direction. And this one, maybe his tail's gonna curve, but not. And then they all have a little tail fin right there. Now see what is happening here with the salt? It looks like bubbles in the water. So, but you have to do it when it's wet or it won't do that. And I'll turn it again and I'll do another one here. Now some have curved snouts and some have more pointy. Okay, so I put 3 on this one, I had 4 on the other. The other thing that you might want to add is when sharks are swimming in a circle like this, there are little tiny fish that they're swimming after, and those you can just do like an oval shape and a little tail like that. Now those you can actually color in with your marker if you're using marker, or you can paint with your paintbrush. But and then I'll do another one here. And you might want to do a couple of them outside the circle. And these fish can go in any direction because some of them actually will probably be wanting to swim away. They don't want to get eaten by the sharks. I'll just do one swimming away over here. Here's his tail. And maybe he has some little fins too there. Okay, then what you're going to do, once you've drawn your outlines for your sharks, you are going to take a very small paintbrush and you'll paint inside your shark outline carefully. And you want it all black. So you need a lot of paint for that, but you don't want puddles on there or it's gonna run all over. So you gotta be careful when you're doing that. And then careful paint. The smaller the paintbrush, the better, because then it's more like a pen and there. And you will need to turn your paper as you paint, because you do not want to get your hand in the black paint. It will spread all over your paper and then it won't look as good. Okay, and if you want to, if you have a Sharpie, you can do this part with a Sharpie if your black is not coming out very dark, because sometimes it's hard to get black watercolor to come out real dark. And because the shark is swimming in a circle, it doesn't have to be perfectly shaped. You do want the head to be a bit bigger than the tail, because that's usually how it looks, but oops, I need a little bit more water there. Okay, and you do not want to sprinkle the salt onto the shark bodies, because then you'll get this, it'll make little circles on the shark body, and you really want the shark body to be all black. Because you're really looking at their shadow, their silhouettes. Okay, and if your tail, I want that a little bit. All right, then my last one, I turned it so that now you can do as many or as few sharks as you want. My first one that I showed you, I did 4. And on this one, I only did 3 sharks. It's your painting, so you can do what you think looks good. But you could even just do one big one right in the middle. Okay, but you do need to be careful when you're painting. So take your time. You can pause the video and paint your sharks. And you do need to make sure that you wait for the blue paint to dry before you paint the black on there. And then when everything is dry, you want to go back and brush off the salt. Okay. There. Now, and all you have to do is just brush off the salt like that without getting it on the black. Brush it off right there. And there you go. Now you have ocean scene with white in the center and the black shark swimming around. Pretty cool. I look forward to seeing yours.